Welcome to a world where darkness reigns, where desires run deep and secrets linger in the shadows. This is Vampire Stories, your sanctuary for tales of lust, power, and immortality. So, dim the lights, silence the world outside, and let yourself be drawn into the shadowy embrace of our story. But beware, once you step into Selene's world, there's no turning back. Episode 3, The Alchemist's Sin. Setting, Prague, 1618. A city of secrets where narrow cobblestone streets twisted like veins through Gothic spires and looming castles. Prague was a place of scholars and mystics, alchemy and rebellion. Here, Selene sought not only her next indulgence, but also the whispers of ancient knowledge she had long forgotten. Her target this time was not a man of brawn or wealth, but one of intellect and ambition, Jakub Zelenka, an alchemist whose experiments bordered on obsession. Jakub was a man who believed in immortality, not through magic but through science. His arrogance amused Selene, and she was drawn to him like a moth to a flame. Tonight she would remind him of the power that science could not touch. The flickering light of candles illuminated Jakub's laboratory. The air was thick with the metallic tang of mercury and the sharp scent of sulfur. Rows of glass vials and copper instruments lined the walls, and on a central table lay an open manuscript filled with arcane symbols and formulas. Jakub, tall and lean with sharp cheekbones and piercing blue eyes, leaned over his work, oblivious to the presence in the shadows. Selene watched him, her crimson eyes gleaming. She stepped forward, her heels clicking softly against the stone floor. Jakub glanced up, startled. "How did you get in here?" he demanded, his voice steady despite the surprise. Selene smiled, her lips a shade darker than her gown of deep emerald. "Does it matter? I've come to see the great alchemist at work." Jakub straightened, his expression guarded. "This is no place for a woman. These are dangerous experiments." "Danger doesn't frighten me," Selene replied, gliding closer. Her presence was disarming, her beauty otherworldly. "Besides, I've lived long enough to know that the most dangerous things are often the most fascinating." Jakub's curiosity betrayed him. He gestured to the manuscript. "I'm working on something that will change the course of humanity. The philosophers have sought the elixir of life for centuries. I intend to perfect it." Selene raised an eyebrow, feigning interest. "Immortality? How ambitious." She circled him slowly, her voice a whisper against the stone walls. "And yet, you don't seem to realize what that truly means." The hours passed as Selene played her part. She asked questions, drawing him out, her every word laced with intrigue. Jakub, oblivious to her true nature, found himself enthralled. "Tell me," she said at last, her voice low, "do you seek immortality for yourself, or for the power it would bring?" Jakub hesitated, a flicker of vulnerability crossing his face. "I seek it because I fear death. The void beyond life terrifies me." Selene stepped closer, so near that he could feel the chill of her breath. "And what if I told you that death is not the end? That immortality is not what you think?" Jakub's eyes narrowed. "What do you know of such things?" Selene smiled, her fangs just visible. "More than you could ever imagine." In the quiet of the laboratory, Jakub finally realized what stood before him. He stumbled back, knocking over a rack of vials, the sound shattering the silence. "You're a monster," he whispered, his voice shaking. "I am," Selene said simply, stepping forward, "but I am also the answer to your questions." Jakub reached for a dagger on his workbench, but Selene was faster. She seized his wrist, her grip like iron. "Do not mistake me for one of your experiments, Jakub." He struggled, but Selene's strength was unyielding. She pushed him against the cold stone wall, her crimson eyes locking with his. "You seek immortality because you fear oblivion. Let me show you the truth of it." Her lips touched his neck, and Jakub froze, a mix of terror and anticipation paralyzing him. When her fangs pierced his skin, he gasped, a sound that turned into a low moan as euphoria overtook him. Selene drank deeply, savoring the complexity of his blood, tinged with the bitterness of mercury, the sharpness of ambition, and the sweet vulnerability of fear. But she did not drain him completely. When she stepped back, Jakub slid to the floor, his body trembling. He looked up at her, his blue eyes glassy. Why didn't you kill me? Selene knelt beside him, her hand brushing his cheek. Because you are a fool, but not without potential. Let this be your lesson. Immortality is not a gift. It is a curse. Seek it no longer. She stood, her gown billowing around her like shadows. You will recover, but the next time you play with forces you do not understand, you may not be so fortunate. As dawn broke over Prague, Selene walked the empty streets, her hunger sated, but her heart heavy. She had seen men like Jakub countless times, brilliant, arrogant, and blind to the consequences of their ambitions. The city was waking, but Selene was already thinking of her next destination. Vienna, she whispered, the name rolling off her tongue like a promise. Yes, Vienna will be exquisite. And with that, she vanished, leaving behind only the faint scent of jasmine and the echoes of a night Jakub would never forget. If you've enjoyed this glimpse into the world of Selene, there's so much more to come. Subscribe and join us for more stories of desire, betrayal, and the eternal night. Until next time, stay curious, stay haunted, and remember, the shadows are never empty.